We have been very proactively working, and maybe Duncan and Nancy can share in the chat the different YouTube videos that we have. And we have been working actively in the course objectives of acquiring good understanding of the drivers of change, which impact demand for skills and the reasons for labor market imbalances and their consequences in GCC, with a focus on green transition. So we had a very good presentation from George last time, and we have learned how green transition is important for skills anticipation. We also discussed some milestones, objectives, and we also analyzed how South-South cooperation is important in the whole process of acquiring skills and skills anticipation, and also reflecting on what the GCC could do to help each other, GCC countries, to help each other. So let me introduce to you briefly our new teacher of the day, Kishore Kumar, who is back with us. Kishore Kumar Singh works as a senior regional skills and employability specialist at the ILO's regional office for the Arab states, located in Beirut. Before joining this position, he serves as chief technical advisor to lead a UN Canada supported skills and employability program at the ILO, Bangladesh. Before joining the ILO, he served as International Poverty Reduction Advisor at UNDP, Bangladesh, where he headed Socioeconomic Fund of Urban Partnerships and Poverty Reduction. So as you can see, he has long experience on the skills. George, I'm not going to reintroduce because he has been our speaker for the past 3-4 sessions, so you know him well, but just reminding that he's, of course, training of trainers, skills needs anticipation, STED expert with the ILO, so knows as well lots of information, critical information on that. So our main presentation today will be from George, but before that, we'll have Kishore Kumar Singh with us, just saying some introductory words. So over to you, Kishore. Introductory, but at the same time also, of course, technical with your background and maybe giving some ideas to our colleagues. I hope you have seen that they have been working very proactively, and we have all the videos that are being shared by Anastasia while we speak in the chat. And as you could have seen, there's been very interesting suggestions of creation of platforms for GCC, upgrading existing platforms, concrete work on digitalization in order to enhance greener possibilities, reducing also all the travel, because we can do a lot of work through the web, and other very critical recommendations. They're also in the Padlet that we're going to copy the Padlet address here for you, because that will be the exercise, but mostly in Arabic. But I think we use translator tools from the web and we managed to understand the content. So I'll be putting here as well, while everybody speaks, the results of the Padlet. When we separate after your presentation, I will give the floor to George, and then we'll separate in 2 groups again. They're very small groups of 3 and 4, but that allows people to be very proactive. We had always really the pleasure of having some great rapporteurs like Shaima and others. So we, and Fatima. But it would be nice also to have a proactivity of all the participants here. So over to you, Kishore. Thanks. It's my pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you, Anita. Thank you. Thanks for introduction. And what could be better opportunity to speak about green transition after COP27. So this is the right opportune moment where we discuss the importance of green growth and green transition in the context of GCC country. I'm very happy to be here to introduce this topic. As we know that the world is locked right now in existential crisis, is a threat to the human being, the speed at which the climate change is happening and the way it is showing its impact on the human condition and the environmental condition. So the combating climate change and global warming is the defining challenge of the century. In fact, the evidence of the impending catastrophe is all around us, including wildfires raging, flooding on the unprecedented scale, increased tropical storms, regular droughts, and rising sea levels. I don't want to get into details because everybody knows about it, but GCC too is facing, similar problems, especially rise in temperature, rising sea level, desertification, sandstorms are, everyday's reality now, and the depleting groundwater, loss of biodiversity. So I think that in day-to-day life, we don't realize it, but it is really happening, and it is a threat to our coming generations and to the planet as such. If we look at the vision documents of all the countries in the region, like you have Vision 2035, Vision 2045, Vision 2030, of different countries, they all have been showing a great amount of commitments to promote green growth and green economy, which is very good news for all of us. They have also increased their investment in sustainable initiatives such as renewable energy, energy efficiency, public transport and cleaner vehicles, green buildings, eco cities, you name it. All the, kind of right things are there in these documents, and the investments are in correspondence with the, the kind of emphasis they have been giving. The weather conditions also of GCC solar energy, more than anywhere in the world, is in the favor of, using more of the renewable energy. The region already has, record-breaking low-cost auctions of solar energy supply and has the potential to be lead producer and exporter of the clean energy. So instead of supplying the fossil, fuel, they have a potential to, export the cleaner energy. Major sectors we all know of the green economy are renewable energy, green buildings, sustainable transport, water management, waste management. In addition, what is also very important is green financing as a critical enabler for new investments. And many regional banks, like in this region, ISDB is one of the examples, is coming very strongly to support green jobs and green transition, initiatives in this region. So many regional banks and the national banks have the green finance to promote green businesses. Energy sector is one of the most important for GCC countries, and moving away from the fossil fuel towards a greener future should not be seen as a threat, but as a tremendous opportunity. As cost of renewable energy have fallen dramatically in recent years, the region already has, quite a good record of taking initiatives in this direction. But I would like to bring to your notice the recent World Bank study on the green growth opportunities in GCC country. This gives an evidence that how green growth makes a business sense. And it generates employment, and for employment we need skills. So this year the GDP of the GCC region is expected to be close to $2 trillion US dollar. And if this pace continues, then their combined GDP would grow to 6 trillion by 2050. But if they embrace the green growth strategy, there is an estimation of the GDP growth by 13 trillion by 2015. The transition to low carbon economy has been accelerated by high oil and gas prices and need for greater energy security. We all know in the wake of Ukraine war how important this phenomena is. So renewable energy industries will witness trillions of dollars of new investment, as well as opportunities in upstream and downstream industries. So is a very fascinating document which makes this calculation on evidences which are available there. So it is estimated that green skills will be needed by all these sectors and all levels in the workforce in the future. While green increased demand occupations such as electrical power line installers, working on infrastructure upgrades for better efficiency will not require significant change in their skills profiles. It will require a skills upgrading, upskilling. The green enhanced skills occupations such as architects who are expected to design greener buildings will require alteration to their skills profile. For completely new skills profile, qualifications and retaining frameworks will be needed for new emerging green occupations, such as wind turbine technicians. The GCC thus has an opportunity for upskilling and reskilling its existing workforce and to develop entirely new skills for the emerging new occupations created by green job transitions. To ensure a smooth green transition in the GCC, policies and systems are needed to influence supply of qualified and skilled workers. The GCC region has an opportunity to achieve this through interventions in three main areas: human resource development, labor mobility and migration policies for expats, because they are in large number, and their upskilling of these workforce will also add to the green skilled workforce. And lastly, education and skills development policies. Overall, the increased need for skilled labor will require the GCC to step up efforts in diversification agenda. It will also help them, which they are already doing, diversifying their economy, moving beyond the fossil fuel, but it will also help them, their skills development will also help them to do so. So this is the story of GCC countries, all countries, is not any particular country. And that makes this discussion very important, that how they create a dialogue, they continue this dialogue and their experiences, their success stories and the lessons, so that they can continue, they can combat this menace jointly of the so I think it's a very, very important discussion, and I wish all the best to all the participants. Thank you very much for giving me opportunity.
Thanks, Kishore. It was great to hear from you, and great to have some of your brilliant ideas on the move forward on the greening of the transition. In fact, you're right. It's really a pleasure to be here right after COP27. And yesterday we had a briefing for those of us who did not manage to attend. And it was very interesting. I think maybe you were there.
I was there.
I was there as well. And it showed, how many pavilions that the ILO has hosted, the events, the importance of having decent work in nature-based solutions, conservation nature, working together with UNEP. Also, the work that we have with the Green Jobs Youth Pact, that is also through also YOUNGO, the United Nations Framework Conventions on Climate Change with the youth. So, there's lots of things that the ILO is engaging, as you have mentioned just a few, but you have very concrete recommendations for also GCC countries. So that is excellent. And by the way, I noticed George has very kindly also translated my message on you while you were hearing, as you can already start putting your ideas in the Padlet that will later on be benefiting from our exercise. So without much ado, and then later we're going to ask questions to you and George before we move to the exercises, I hand over to George for his presentation on skills anticipation today. Over to you, George.
Okay, thank you. Let me start my presentation. Okay, is it clear at you, everybody?
Yes.
Okay, the presentation will be in Arabic, maybe to enrich the conversation between the participants. Let us speak English and Arabic.
Yes, no, that is perfect. We have the translation, so that is no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
So الهدف اليوم من وحدتنا التعليمية.
The objective of our learning course today, as a continuity of the two first webinars, is to identify the means and ways that we use in order to anticipate necessary and needed skills for the labor market. So our main goal today is to understand the key questions that we can answer through skills anticipation, understand quantitative, qualitative methodology and the difference between them, and understanding national, sectoral, and regional approaches that we can study for skills anticipation. Last but not least, we will try to understand the importance of combining approaches and tools. Before conducting any study or any anticipation, we necessarily need an action plan. So let us be straightforward about it. We need this action plan to define our objectives, our goals. What are our needs in our policies? Employment policies, education, research policies, and whatever policy that we are establishing for the purpose of skills anticipation. Also, what are our research objectives and who will be the main user, the primary user of the findings? Are they decision makers, students, universities, researchers? So who is the user of the findings and who will perform such research? Who will collect data and analyze them? Because, as we will see in a minute, there are 7 or 8 methods that can be used depending on the specific sectors. Some of them are used for the education sector, for others for household surveys, others for other anticipation research. So we would need to identify the party who will be conducting the research and the financial resources allocated to such study or research, because in the absence of sufficient funds for the performance of a study or a research, even if an action plan is available and even if we have a lot of ideas, unless we have the necessary financial resources, there will be constraints in our job. So by just answering these questions, we would have reached the second stage. And we would need to know if the research to be carried out is at the macro, meso, micro levels, encompassing in the whole national economy, a specific sector, the whole region, a local community within a governorate, at the level of one single occupation or a number of occupations. So we would need to identify the sector that we would need to study in order to avoid any confusion. And then we need to define the time span of skills identification. Is it short term? For example, a maximum of 1 year ahead, a medium term of 2 or 3 years, or a long term up to 5 years or more. We would need to define the trends based on which we will be conducting our study, and we need also to identify current needs, future needs, as well as target groups, direct and indirect beneficiaries. And then we will be able to choose the most appropriate method to apply for the conduct of the statistical research or study, so that we can come up with findings and skills anticipation policies. Once the action plan is set and the methods, the partners are defined and so on, we get now to the questions for the purpose of this study. And we have quantitative and qualitative questions in this respect. What is the difference between those two types of questions? If we want to know what are the direct and future jobs, what are the direct jobs or induced jobs, for example, now and in the future, to answer these questions, we will need to use a quantitative method or methodology. However, if we have questions about skills and occupations, then we will need to use a qualitative approach or methodology in order to identify the occupations. We all know that an occupation is a number of intertwined, interlinked jobs with specific tasks to be fulfilled that are interlinked or interconnected. If I need to know about the number of persons or labor force in each occupation, then this is a quantitative question. What is the resulting demand with respect to skills? So this is also a quantitative question, a question about skills and competencies and how they relate to occupations. This is a qualitative question. As we know, a skill is an ability to apply our knowledge as an expected result of training. It is our capacity to conduct an intellectual or manual activity as a result of training and education. So, if we need to know how these skills and competencies relate to occupations, in statistical activities, occupations are based on an international standard measurement, including skills, competencies, and experiences and expertise. We also have other questions pertaining to education and training. These are qualitative questions that require qualitative methodologies, such as the sources of skills available, the types of training and education needed, how can they be provided. We also have quantitative questions about the stock of people who can enter the labor market and the skills already available in the labor market. These are quantitative and qualitative questions, and based on this, we can identify the methodology to adopt in order to perform our statistical study or research. After having drawn our questions and decided about the methodology, now we come to the methods and approaches in order to anticipate skills in the labor market. And here we have 7 methods or methodologies. We have the quantitative modeling method, big data, establishment skills survey. So all in all, there are 7, and I will delve into the details of each of these methods. Where can they be used? There are different tools, forms, their pros and cons, so that we can decide which is the best method to adopt and in what sector. Let me start with the quantitative modeling for skills anticipation. This is a scientific research method which is based on quantities. So it won't include any qualitative questions. All the questions are of quantitative nature. And this method allows us to simulate a current or future scenario with and anticipate demand and supply in the labor market in the future. We use it in order to analyze disruptions in the labor market or imbalances and skills shortages. This method cannot be used unless we have data sources available that we can get from the National Statistical Office or household surveys, or also labor force or workforce surveys. Once this data is available, we can construct our statistical methods. So statisticians who use a wide range of statistical programs and software know how we can construct the statistical model, a quantitative model, in order to make a simulation of the reality now and in the future. So this quantitative model or method helps us understand the economic reality based on a number of economic indicators, for instance. It supports us, and it ideally offers information on questions like employment trends by sector, job, qualification, so the growth of numbers of jobs in the economy. Also, it helps us in the replacement demand. What do we mean by replacement demand? It means the number of jobs that will need to be filled after current workers leave them. So replacing the current workers with others. 3, labor force trends by qualification, gender, and age group. So these quantitative models are based on available databases. What about the time scale or time span for this quantitative model? Here we have 3 scenarios or time scales: short term, so a maximum of 1 or 2 years, medium term, up to 4 years, and long term, 5 years or more.
ممكن تصير على ضمن منطقة على الصعيد الوطن كله، على صعيد إقليم، على المعلومات للمواطنين داخل يعني داخل الدولة أو خارج الدولة، يعني ضمن حدود جغرافية
outside the state and inside the state as per the geographic borders and as appropriate. If here we can deal with macroeconomic or microeconomic, this depends on the databases that we have and the advantages that this kind of analysis is based on numbers, which provides us with theories and hypotheses about the future and may help us in having a better analysis. And when I have a discussion based on documented and reliable information and a clear methodology, it will be a very smart and effective discussion. The disadvantages, I may not have information or timely data on an annual basis. I mean integrated and complete data from the employers or the household surveys or from the statistics office, and this could be a very negative thing for future analysis. When I have 5 years reliable data, I can do anticipation for the coming 5 years. And the databases or data resources, if they are not complete, may not lead to the needed results. And how we can say, here we can say that it might generate actually anticipation outcomes, but it can give us an indicator for the major or main trends. And if I can anticipate for the 5 coming years, but there might be situations that may change the anticipation in the future. And hence, we need actually good and strong models with transparent, rational, and reliable data. Then the analysis of such models will be strong and actually and very coherent. And the second methodology is the mega data methodology, or available at the real time on the internet. What is this methodology? You may know that on the internet there are mega data, and every day there is an increasing amount of data and information. The web-based data or digital data is forming a rapidly developing field for researchers and different policy areas related to different sectors. This actually takes the form of the data softwares, the industrial softwares, and we have a large amount of data on the internet that we can use to analyze the keywords or use the keywords to search on Google. On a specific website, I may find millions of results, and this is mega data that will enable me to analyze the information. If I take, for example, databases related to employment and also job announcements, and the EU, for example, has a colossal database that may help me in analyzing the employment. This data actually is readily available on the websites, and we can classify them to three categories. First of all, this data is available through us as humans. We may announce or declare our own and private information on social media. We may answer, for example, on private questions on the social media. This generates millions or billions of records on the people using such websites, which may be related to research and analysis. And secondly, the data related to the banking system, credit cards or financial transactions between the citizens and the government. Hence, there are billions of records on the internet on those people who are purchasing online or doing other things or other transactions online. And also the information that they can get through smartphones. They already developed millions of applications that get information from the mobiles, and these can form a source of information in a very good way and on the internet. The aim of the mega data is to help us if we are talking on skills related to the employment policies. This kind of data can help us in searching for occupancies or other supply issues. And the advantages, they are readily available and for free sometimes. And we have a mega scale of information. There's no need to collect new information. The disadvantages, they might not be organized or complete, and they may be incomplete, whereby we have shortage of information in certain fields. We may find a good amount of information, but not complete, or do not take into consideration equal representation between all the categories or segments, or may have a duplication or increasing the expected age or the vacancies or the offers, and there is no clarity for or updating for information every 1 month or every 2 months, for example. We cannot guarantee that they are updated and well organized. Also, the files of identifying the occupational skills may also be incomplete. Our work is related to the methodology of the mega data. You can browse through this page. When you write down this title, you will find a research or a paper issued by LO on using the mega data on internet. The third methodology I want to tackle is the methodology of studying the institutional skills. This is a specialized study to study the current situation of institutions in a specific required field. For example, the food industry or the infrastructure or other industries related to infrastructure like construction. So the aim of this methodology is to study the current situation on in institutions, what kind of data shortcomings they have or skills shortcomings, and I need here to identify the skills that are needed for the employers, and also to know how to bridge the gap through training, through recruiting new employees, and to identify the challenges that employers face. And this kind of study helps us in developing future plans for employers, for example, either to continue with their activity, to remain on the same activity, to expand the activities. I may increase also another activity, which means that I will need new employees and new skills. So this methodology is helping us to plan for the future for employers. This one can have quantitative and qualitative questions that could be answered directly by the employers or the employees. And in the advantages, I can get information directly from the employer, and also can allow me to enter into details of the skills requirements. This is done through direct discussion with the employer and the worker, and also I can monitor the change after 1 year. Was I able to achieve the aspired change or not? I can use certain resources as an employer or as a governmental sector. If I'm not able to do it every 6 months, and also on a national level or on a sectoral level or multi-sectoral level, this might be very cumbersome for employers.
George,
I can do it
we
every.
can make a small pause here, because maybe we can make maybe a concluding remarks, because we have half an hour exercise and then report back to otherwise we will not have time for our participatory approach that we want to have. But anyway, back to you, maybe just for some concluding remarks.
Okay. So may I continue quickly?
Yes, of course, but maybe just wrap up your main points, and maybe what will be useful for the group work is that you bring some also ideas and recommendations that we're going to work on the Padlet, So that would be fantastic. Sorry again for interrupting you. It's
No,
just
no,
that
no.
I realized time is flying.
Yeah,
And
I
then-
know the seven methods are too long to explain them. And
Yes, but go ahead. I mean, if you need to take another 5-10 minutes, that will be fine. Over to you.
Okay. Yeah. So please نحن كنا على
We were on the Padlet. We were asking the question if you have any opinion or something that we can build on what we are saying, or something that we can do as a green economy, and how can anticipate for the green economy based on such mentioned methodology. Please start writing them on the Padlet. I will try my best to finish my presentation in 10 minutes in order to have more time for discussion on the Padlet, or to link such methodologies to skills related to the green economy and within the STC concept. In order to move quickly, the fourth methodology is the graduate polls and tracking studies, where we can apply this methodology to track the graduates of the academic sector and training sector, if they found any jobs or they are satisfied with the jobs they found, or they found them quickly. The aim here is to take data on the graduates and link this to the labor market, and also to analyze the data retroactively in order to check if this addressed the unemployment, or we need to amend the employment policy in order to help the graduates to find job opportunities in a quicker manner based on the acquired skills and before the practice. Education is usually for practice. The advantage that it is implemented easily. We can do it for a specific school or a sector or institution or university. The fifth one is the methodology of developing scenarios and future vision. In this methodology, could be used actually for factors affecting change. This relates to demography, technology, global economy, renewable energy, climate change, and this methodology, we may say it is a qualitative methodology that is based on the quantitative data of the labor market and different sectors. We can take this methodology and conduct a study. Based on this, we can check the impact of such outcomes on the future change, and we can do certain analysis and like the SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and challenges, and or threats, sorry, and or to conduct a study to check the future reality. And in this methodology, when we have the needed information, could be studied, and we could identify the variables related to labor market and the economy and the required skills. The sixth methodology is the focus group. So it is a sort of qualitative research. Within this methodology, we can bring together a group of experts, and we assign a facilitator in order to facilitate discussion or the focus group. It could be used to study the outcomes of different studies in order to emphasize the outcomes and confirm them and their quality through the collective thinking and discussion whereby we discuss them actually within the focus group. Each and every expert could reflect on the outcomes if they are true or reliable, in order to come up with a collective recommendation as an outcome of the focus group. The recommendation could be that the data actually are good and reliable, or we can improve other recommendations after a collective reflection. Sure enough, the facilitator plays a major role and should be objective in order to enable each and every expert to provide his or her opinion in an objective way without any bias and impartially in order to be good. So the advantages, it is useful to improve and develop ideas, and provides us with new ideas on how to address a certain or a specific problem. This is in general. The seventh methodology, which is the Delphi. He should get closer to the mic. The Delphi methodology, it is a qualitative methodology whereby I bring certain experts in certain fields in order to discuss a long-term problem that could reach 30 years. Actually, it is for the long term. A qualitative methodology whereby we identify the relevant questions for the research context in order to reach actually final outcomes. In order to reach this methodology, we need databases for the specific sector or specific problem that I'm studying. There are no available information for this. Here I need a group of experts whereby I can develop a questionnaire and distribute it to them. They may not actually meet face to face. They may work individually, but after the first round of discussion, as an expert, I may change my opinion to a better opinion based on information acquired from different or the other experts. This is the Delphi methodology and its stages, identifying the issue and the problem that I need to study in order to come up with recommendations, selecting experts, developing questionnaires and distributing them and distributing it, and also analyzing the responses. I may have different recommendations and outcomes whereby I can develop a summary and also submit them. If not, we can develop and distribute the questionnaire in order to reach or to conduct another discussion round or a third discussion round in order to find solutions for a specific issue or subject that we think that we need to come up with recommendations concerning this issue in the future. As a summary for the 7 methodologies, sure enough, each methodology has its own advantages and disadvantages. We didn't have much time to read them out, but we can merge or have a combination of methodologies for different sectors. For example, we have the quantitative methodologies, then we can confirm the outcomes by having a focus group in order to have future anticipation. I may have a combination of methodologies in order to reach better outcomes. As I said, there are pros and cons for each methodology. So we need to carefully select the methodology as per our need, our goal, and the financial resources, the target group, and the user group, and the implementation group. Actually, as ILO, we have different guidelines and different booklets and manuals for between the ILO, ETF, and the SEDFOP, actually, and these are for skills anticipation and different scenarios and the predictions. All these methodologies are helping us in order to predict and anticipate the skills needed for labor market. COVID-19 imposed on us actually new ideas in order to find the problem that faced the whole world in the labor market in order to activate the skills, reskilling, upskilling, and to enable people to find a quick solution for the skills needed and with the impacts of COVID-19. This is a quick graph about the methodologies used in the labor market as per my study at the ILO, mostly the employer surveys, sector studies, the surveys of workers or graduates, whereby we can find all the methodologies. Thank you very much for your patience. I hope I didn't take much of your time, and to have to still have time for discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, George.
Okay.
Now I'm going to give the floor to Duncan, who is going to explain the Padlet exercise and give a little bit of a summary of what was discussed here. Basically, I think we'll stay 15 minutes maximum. I think 10 minutes just for a small conversation, then report back. But anyway, over to you, Duncan.
Okay, thank you so much, Anita. And thank you once again, George, for that interesting conversation and presentation for today. Just to recap, I think some of the key things that are coming out of your presentation, I think data is one of the things that are very key. Even as we talk about issues around skills, data is very key because data, again, plays a very key role. The other thing that also came out was the whole issue of digitalization. I think from your presentation, we had the whole issue of digitalization also plays a very important role. I think the other thing that I can also mention is I think the use of megadata is also linked to the first one. The use of megadata also is something that you did mention clearly. And then the other thing that I will also highlight is, again, just to summarize, is the 7 methodology that you've taken us through. Thank you so much. And lastly, even as you were winding up, I think you brought in the issue of COVID-19 and how it has really changed the world of work with issues around reskilling and upskilling. So in a nutshell, I think these are key things that are going to play a key role even as we go into our discussion this afternoon. So Anita, I think I'll stop there and just also go back to what we need to do this afternoon in terms of the group work.
Yes, please go ahead. Maybe explain just briefly the group work and maybe show the paddle exercise again, and then we over to, I think, Sophie to split into groups.
Okay, so I think for the group work today, I think you already got the Padlet with the question, and the question is one question actually we are going to look at today, because we have talked about skills anticipation, and today we just want to have a look at, in the spirit of South and Triangular Cooperation, we want to look at the opportunities for knowledge sharing and skill anticipation, as well as matching within GCC. So we are going to break into groups and just answer that one question, and I think we'll have a plenary where we also maybe get 1 or 2 comments from different groups to enrich our discussion for today. Anita, I don't think, is there anything else that I left
No,
out?
no, I think that for that we can now already split in groups. I think I'll be with you in one group, and George, you can help the other group come with ideas and find a rapporteur. If you don't find a rapporteur, you have to report yourself, but it would be much better if you find a rapporteur per group. So over to Sophie, hoping that you can split us into two groups. We need probably some translators as well in our group with Duncan.
Okay, so now I will open now.
So please, for the reporting of group one, if you can report back on what we discussed, and maybe Duncan can complete, because I think, and another participant, I don't know if it was Ibrahim or the colleague has his iPhone on, he had been interrupted. So over to you, Fatima.
Okay, thank you for this opportunity. First, so we discussed, or we proposed that if we have, okay, I'm not sure in Arabic or English. Okay, let's do it in Arabic.
Yes,
Arabic,
we can do it in Arabic.
Okay. من خلال اقترحنا العمل على منصة مشتركة بين دول.
We have proposed a common platform for GCC countries to work on it, and the establishment of cooperation between human resource ministries through a single and common platform in cooperation with the implementation vision offices in all GCC countries in order to identify long-term goals and strategies and to cooperate on this. In addition, to focusing on the importance and relevance of researches among GCC countries in order to identify issues and problems and to close gaps. This would help GCC countries in closing the gaps, as we said, and she is inviting Mr. Ibrahim to mention his last point about the initiative available in GCC countries. According to newspapers, GCC country members or citizens can be employed throughout all the sectors and occupations, be them private or public sectors, without any constraints or conditions. And this will further attract skills among the different countries. I hope it's clear. Thank you.
Thanks. I don't know if Duncan wants to add something as well, because I have the feeling you were shortly cut as well by the short time frame. Duncan, you're muted.
Hello? Oh, okay. I think just to add two things, like I mentioned earlier, I think there's the importance of doing more research within GCC to supplement, because once there's research, when we have data, then it's easier to implement some of the issues within GCC in regards to skills mismatch. So that's also linked to previous presentation where data plays a very important role. Number two, I also mentioned having a community of practice on skills and on skills. This again will strengthen collaboration and knowledge exchange within the region. So that's all from my end. Thank you.
Thank you, Duncan. So yes, I think the very interesting point that people have been repeating throughout, and George, I think we're taking good notes on that, and we'll transmit that to Stefano and to Kishore, is the idea of creation of a platform on GCC, like a platform that is sharing all the information on skills anticipation. So over to your group, George and Nancy. I don't know who was your rapporteur, but over to you now.
Okay. In my group, in fact, we got three ideas from the participant, and are so good, really. The first one about the platform for training. in case they are able to exchange their experience in a training area between GCC countries, and the exchange of studies. It's the first idea. They are ready to do that. The second one was about the NEON project in King Saudi Arabia, and so important project and for the future. And the third one from Monira, she taught us about area at DACOM, about a strategic plan, okay, for study or for upgrade the skills related to the green economy. Okay, they created institute and faculty as a vocational faculty related to skills, okay, to upgrade the skills related to the green economy and to jobs related to green economy. And it's so important in Oman in these steps. So that is the three ideas that I can now summarize based on the participants.
Okay, well, that sounds very good. Any additional comments to that from the group? Anybody would like to add anything?
If I forgot something, please.
الآن اتجاه في دول الخليج وفي المملكة.
The trend in the GCC countries is to use the hydrogen energy. It is an energy that may maintain and protect the environment in the future. We started this in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. They already established companies as declared by the Minister of Energy, and they are using or started to use the hydrogen energy. Thank you very much.
Yes, okay, that sounds very interesting.
هذا يبدو sorry.
Yes, no problem. That sounds interesting in terms of just transitions. I think, would you like to add something more? Okay, as I see that there is no additions, even though, yes, there's no hands up. So I think we can conclude the session now. Thanking everybody, especially George, for his long presentation. Kishore has also said he had to move to the Asia Pacific meeting where he's attending a skills session. So next time round, we will have, I think, our last seminar, if I'm not mistaken, on the 15th. And we're going to reflect on everything we have reflected today. And in addition, we're going to have some presentations from our colleague here, Anastasia Pavlova, on relating on what happened on the Skolkovo project, South-South G20 cooperation on skills, and trying to link up to the workshop that we're doing now on GCC skills anticipation, to see, you know, if some cross cooperation between regions would be interesting. And we're also going to have our colleague Yutong Liu, from who is the Chief Technical Advisor of a skills project for ASEAN, funded by China, that will also present some of his good practices, and also that would be maybe interesting for you in the region. So from my side, that's fine. Over to George in case you have some closing statements and a nice follow-up of day. George, maybe some closing words from you?
Yeah. No, I just want to thank you. Today it was so great for, I think, for all of us. I will try now to summarize the point or the comments that we got from participants and send back to you and Stefano about the important points that we studied today. I hope that the 7 methodologies that I explained it was clear for you. I know 7 method not easy to be understand so quickly, but we try to do the best. I don't know. That's all from my side.
Yes.
Actually,
I think that was great, George. And one interesting point is that I don't know for everybody, but for me, your image on the ILO ITC is mirrored upside down, you know, where it says ITC. And that gives an upside down that for me, it's like philosophical. We have to think out of the box. And sometimes we're looking at something in one direction and we learn better when we look at something in a different direction. So that will be the lesson of the day. And thanking everybody, and see you next Thursday for our closing webinar with the presentations for everybody. And maybe, George, you can give us some little snapshots, you know, that we can post on the campus with the help of Sophie and Asma on these 7 methods, because even for us, some of them was new as well for me, to tell the truth. So thank you very much. Shukran, Saidi, Rais. Thank you.
شكرا
Thank you so much.
شكرا
Thank
شكرا
you.
للجميع.
Bye.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
I'm
Bye.
closing now.
مع السلامة.
Bye. Bye-bye.